Okay, hello. This is an introduction to or a recap of paper 2. It's also attempt 3 for this video, so I'm really hoping it works this time. I basically just wanted to show you paper just so you can recap it and you make sure that's drilled into your head exactly what to do. Obviously, in the future or in the next few lessons, as we start a power and conflict cluster, these will get more detailed and I'll get a bit better at using this program. So I'm hoping now I click this and share that round about now you should be able to see my screen. Hopefully that's the bit that's not actually been working the last few times. So basically I just want you to, I'll give you some time to make some notes about this. I just wanted to go through paper 2 just as a little intro into these videos before we get to the heavy stuff of the poetry. So as you know, it's a 2-hour and 15-minute exam. All right, that sounds really hard. It is, and it is. It's very tough to do. So 135 minutes altogether, which means we've got 3 sections. And so I make that 45 minutes per section. So actually, if you just kind of look at it as 3 45-minute exams, then it sounds a little bit better than 2 hours and 15 minutes. So as you know, section A, section B, section C, inspector calls, we've already done that one. You're going to get 1 question on that. You do get a choice of 2. Please don't answer both. It is 1 question. If you take anything away from this today, make sure it's that. I'll keep telling you it over the next year, and hopefully no one actually tries to answer both questions. Section B is your power and conflicts, which is what we're going to do this term remotely. And section C, you've got 2 questions in there as well. So there you see 45 minutes per section. I've split, if I can get rid of this, I've split 45 minutes into 30 to 35 and 10 to 15 for your unseen poetry, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So as you can see, 34 marks for inspector calls, 30 marks for power and conflict, and your unseen poetry is worth 32 marks. Now, 2 questions. Your first one's worth 24 marks, which is why we need to dedicate this amount of time to it. Okay, 10 to 15 minutes for your 8 marker. And like I said, in class or however long we have to keep doing these videos, we'll go over in the future how to respond to this in such a small space of time. Just a quick recap of the assessment objectives then. So AO, well, basically these are what the examiners are looking for when they're marking your exams. So your AO1 is how well you can kind of write about your personal opinion. Yeah, these texts in all the literature, it's about your response. Yeah, you're not looking for a right answer. You're not looking to take my interpretations. The people who will do the best are the people who can develop their own personal opinions. And I suppose that's kind of one reason why I suppose learning the poems like this gives you much more time to kind of go out and research these poems and find as much as you can out about them. AO1 is also about kind of how you use the text to explore your views. So getting your quotations or your references into specific parts that really highlight what your take on these texts will be. AO2 is your language, your form, your structure analysis. All right, this is where we start talking about the effect. And we've done a lot of that so far, so I don't need to go too much into that. AO3 is your context. All right, so that is, yes, it's important to kind of think about the context in which they were written in. So thinking about how society was at those times and what these texts might represent. And we've also done a lot of work on kind of saying how relevant these texts are in modern times as well, which is really important. But to be honest, if you're doing AO1 properly, you should be kind of naturally getting in AO3 as well. AO4 is your SPAG, which you can see you only need to use it on an inspect scores. So that's 34 marks altogether, and that actually assesses all your assessment objectives. Okay. Same with section B without the SPAG, and section C, obviously you don't need the context for section C because you've never seen the poem before. So we don't need to do as much kind of research into that one. It's just more about the skills. Okay. I'll take you through the exam then. And this is what it'll look like. All right, so when you're sat in that exam hall, you're going to see something similar to this. Obviously, this is from 2017. And basically, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, I'll just show you this one. And again, all right, I know most of you, all of you, I've got the common sense to see that we've studied inspector calls, so you're going to answer the question on inspector calls. Some people do try and answer other texts. Please don't do that. Just the ones we've studied, and we should be fine. So you go down, inspector calls, lucky for us, it's the first one on there. And you can see you've got a choice of 2 questions. All right, and again, it's well worth learning this now, noting this now, so you don't make the mistake in the exam, either number 1 or number 2. Next year, we'll do a lot on kind of how to pick what's right for you, but essentially, you just pick which one you think you'll be able to analyze the best, which you think kind of where you will be able to explore your personal response to these texts. Okay, so then you would flick through your exam script, keep going all the way down. Obviously, you've just turned straight to section B after you've done your 1 question on inspector calls. All right, and then you'll get to something like this. All right, section B, poetry, either love and relationships. Of course, again, you'd use your common sense. You know that we're not studying any of these poems. We're going to be studying the power and conflict poems. All right, so these are the 15 we're going to go over in the next few weeks, and hopefully get up to speed with things. Your question will look like this. You're going to compare how the poets present the effects of war in this case, it's Bayonet Charge, and in one other poem from Power and Conflict. Okay, obviously the main thing there is you've only got 1 poem in front of you, and you've got to talk about 2. Which again is why it's really, really important we engage with this remote module that we're going to be doing. Your unseen poetry, okay. Number 1 is just asking you about 1 poem that you've never seen before. And this is the most important one in this section. It's 24 marks. So just make sure you answer that in your best of your ability. Obviously, when we do that in class, we'll go through how to tackle this kind of question. So it's important to remember that's your most important one, and then you will get another poem that you've never seen before, and it allows you to compare the methods that are used. All right, so you'll be comparing language, structure, when you're doing that. All right, it is only 8 marks. It is very tempting. A lot of students think because you're writing about 2 poems, you can write more. And this response should not be longer than your 24 marker. All right, 10 to 15 minutes on this question. Okay, so just to recap really, you've got 15 poems in the anthology. You're going to be asked to compare 2 of them. You will only have 1 of them in front of you, which kind of shows how important this unit really is. And we've kind of looked at this anyway, so I'll leave you now. Hopefully this video worked, and I will see you in the next video when we will tackle our first poem. Obviously we'll do a lot of comparison work. There's no point in me doing this now because we haven't actually studied any of the poems to compare, but there will be some lessons on actually your writing and how you can write about these poems, not just the content of them. Okay, so hopefully that's worked, and see you next time.